James had always hated flies. The way they buzzed relentlessly, the way they landed on his skin with their filthy little legs, it sent a shudder down his spine. But he never thought they could be dangerous. Not until the night they came for him. It started with just one. A single black fly tapping against his bedroom window. Annoying but harmless. He swatted it away and went to bed. The next morning there were more. Dozens of them. Crawling on the windowsill, buzzing in frantic circles around his ceiling light. James frowned. He had no food lying around, no trash piling up. Where were they coming from? He spent the day spraying insect killer and sealing every crack in the house. By nightfall, the buzzing had stopped and he breathed a sigh of relief. Then at exactly midnight he woke to a sound. A low, droning hum like a machine running in the distance. As he sat up in bed he realized it was coming from inside the walls. James's heart pounded as he pressed his ear against the drywall. The sound grew louder, a feverish, scratching noise beneath the surface, as if something was trying to get out. He stepped back just as a tiny black leg poked through a crack near the light switch. Then another. And another. The wall began to bulge. With a sickening crack, a hole split open, and flies poured out in a writhing, buzzing flood. They swarmed him instantly, crawling into his mouth, his nose, his ears. He screamed, batting at them, but there were too many. He stumbled backward, knocking over a lamp, and fell hard onto the floor. The buzzing filled his head, drowning out his thoughts. And then, as suddenly as it had started, the flies stopped moving. They hovered in midair, forming a strange, shifting pattern as if waiting. Watching. Then they spoke. A voice, deep and layered, as if 1,000 tiny throats were speaking at once, rasped from the swarm. "We have been waiting for you." James barely had time to scream before they surged forward, swallowing him whole. The next morning the house was silent. The flies were gone. But where James had stood, there was only a pile of writhing maggots, squirming hungrily in the shape of a man. Days passed and no one heard from James. His boss assumed he had taken an unexpected leave, his friends left unanswered messages. It wasn't until his landlord came to check on the house that they noticed something was terribly wrong. The door was unlocked, yet the air inside was stale, thick with an unbearable rotting stench. The landlord gagged, pulling his shirt over his nose as he stepped inside. The floor was covered in a fine layer of dust, as if the house had been abandoned for years. Then he saw them, flies. Hundreds of them, swarming lazily near the ceiling, their buzzing growing louder as he moved deeper inside. The landlord hesitated before stepping into James's bedroom. His stomach turned. The walls were black with something moving. The paint, the wallpaper, it was alive. It pulsed, writhed as thousands of tiny bodies crawled over one another, shifting like liquid. And in the center of the room, standing upright as if waiting, was a human-shaped mass of squirming, pulsating maggots. Then it turned its head. The landlord didn't have time to scream before the swarm engulfed him, dragging him into the churning darkness. By the time the police arrived, the house was empty. No body, no maggots, no flies. Just silence. The only sign that James had ever existed was a single, black fly sitting on the windowsill, watching.